You think seduction is about what you say. It isn't. Let me be brutally honest with you. Most men lose the game before they even open their mouths. Not because they lack looks, not because they lack lines, but because they walk into an interaction already chasing, already seeking approval, already asking, silently, please like me. And women feel that. Seduction doesn't begin with words, it begins with presence. Before you speak, she has already read you. Your posture, your tempo, your tension, the way you stand, the way you look around, the way you handle silence. In a matter of seconds, her instincts decide. Is this a man who owns his space, or one who is trying to earn permission to exist in it? Here's the paradox no one tells you. The harder you try to impress, the more you shrink. The more you push, the more you leak insecurity. The more you show interest, the more you transmit urgency. And urgency is never interpreted as confidence. It's interpreted as need, not attention. Need, not desire. Need, not confidence. Need disguised as enthusiasm. Think about it. How many times have you forced conversation, over-explained yourself, double-texted, tried to be extra charming, extra funny, extra engaging, and felt the energy die right there? Exactly. Because attraction is not triggered by effort. It is triggered by perception. When you chase reactions, you communicate dependency. When you rush to fill every silence, you communicate discomfort. When you show interest too quickly, you communicate scarcity, as if her validation is something you desperately require. And the female mind reads this with frightening accuracy. He needs something from me. That single perception kills the polarity. Now let's go deeper. Most men aren't rejected by women. They are rejected by their own internal state. Fear of losing, fear of silence, fear of not being enough. So they compensate by being overly available, overly expressive, overly reactive. But what they're really revealing is something else. Anxiety and anxious behavior destroys magnetism. Because magnetism comes from stability, from a man who is grounded in himself, a man who doesn't rush, doesn't grasp, doesn't mentally collapse the moment there is uncertainty. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the insecurities you try to hide but unconsciously project. You don't say, I need validation, but your body says it, your voice says it, your behavior screams it, and she doesn't need training in psychology to feel it. Here's the truth that may sting a little. Attraction often ignites not when you move toward her, but when she feels your center is unshaken by her presence. Calm, composed, observant, socially selective. The man who is fully there, yet not reaching, compare that to the man who leans forward too fast, invests too early, explains too much, offers himself before being invited. Two completely different signals. One says, I choose. The other says, choose me. And only one of these creates desire. This video is not about tricks, lines, or manipulative games. It's about understanding the psychological mechanism that makes a woman feel drawn to you without you hitting on her, without chasing, without performing. You're going to understand why presence outranks conversation, why energy outranks technique, why the man who controls his space never needs to beg for attention, because while others chase, he simply stands, and somehow, mysteriously, she moves toward him. The trap of neediness. This is where most men unknowingly sabotage themselves, and the mistake doesn't start in the conversation. It starts before the first word, before the approach, before you even decide to walk in her direction. It starts in your internal state. Let's paint a familiar scene. You see a woman you find attractive. Instantly your mind shifts, your breathing changes, your thoughts accelerate. Suddenly you're not just standing there anymore, you're evaluating yourself through her eyes. Should I go talk to her? What if she ignores me? What if I say something stupid? Right there, something subtle but fatal happens. You stop being a man moving through the world. You become a man seeking permission. Every man who enters an interaction hoping to be accepted is broadcasting the same signal: low self-importance. You may call it politeness. You may call it kindness. You may call it being respectful. But what reaches her nervous system is different. It feels like someone offering himself for approval, like a candidate standing before a silent jury. And here's the uncomfortable truth. When you ask anxious questions, when your gestures rush, when you try too hard to appear interesting, you reveal something you never intended to show. You don't see yourself as the prize. You see yourself as the applicant, and applicants don't seduce, they audition. Now, understand this carefully. Women are not turned off because they are cruel or arrogant. They are responding to deeply wired instincts. Long before modern dating, long before social media, attraction was shaped by survival filters. And one of the strongest filters has always been emotional stability. Not charm, not beauty, not clever conversation. Stability. A man who is centered, grounded, at ease with himself. This creates a feeling of safety and strength that cannot be convincingly faked. But the man who radiates urgency, tension, overeagerness triggers something else. An ancient alarm. This man is unsettled. This man is seeking something. This man is not fully in control of himself. And desire quietly retracts. Because attraction doesn't grow where there is psychological dependency. Let me say something that contradicts what most men were taught. Women are not impressed by effort. They are drawn to direction. They are not captivated by demonstration. They are intrigued by selectivity. The man trying to earn points is predictable. The man moving with his own intention is magnetic. One says, "How can I win her over?" The other says, "Let's see who she is." Feel the difference. She doesn't want to feel like the center of a man's universe 5 seconds after he notices her. She wants to feel that he already has a universe and that she might earn a place within it. That's why the common strategy fails. You think showing interest quickly creates attraction, but premature investment often produces the opposite effect. Because female desire is not born from what you offer, it is born from what you represent. A man who does not rush, does not grasp, does not immediately lean forward, communicates something extremely powerful without saying a word. I am not starved for connection, and that perception changes everything. Now let's bring this into the real world. There is a practical rule that separates men who generate tension from men who dissolve it. The rule of dominant presence. Before speaking, observe. Before engaging, stabilize yourself. Before expressing interest, establish comfort in your own body. Your body language speaks first. Always, slow, unhurried movements suggest control. Silence, comfortably sustained, suggests authority. A relaxed yet expansive posture signals that you belong to the environment, not that you're nervously surviving inside it. Because the man who is fully present, fully grounded, fully at ease in stillness, doesn't need to chase attention. Attention starts moving toward him. That right there is what captures the female gaze before a single word is spoken. And when you truly embody this rule, something almost cinematic happens. The dynamic inverts. You're no longer the one scanning the room, hunting for a reaction. You become the one being scanned. You stop chasing. You start being noticed. You stop radiating neediness. You start radiating center. And desire, by its very nature, moves toward center, never toward urgency. Now let's talk about something men underestimate: the biological factor. There are signals you transmit without awareness, without intention, without control. Microbehaviors, tiny leaks of your internal state, almost invisible, but devastating. It's the split second where your eyes search for hers too fast, the smile that appears a little too early, the microscopic contraction of your posture, the moment you feel evaluated. You barely notice it. She does, because her brain is not analyzing your words first. It's reading your nervous system. Those subtle reactions communicate volumes. They whisper, "I am seeking your approval. I am adjusting myself to your response. I am reacting to you." And in the silent language of attraction, that reads as social submission, not strength, not groundedness, submission. Attraction rarely survives that perception, not because you said the wrong thing, but because your body confessed something your mouth never would. And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. A large part of this behavior is driven by addiction, not to women, to dopamine. Think about the loop. A look from her, a spike, a reply, a spike, a like, another spike. Your brain starts operating in short reward cycles, craving signals, waiting for the next hit of validation. And what does dopamine do to a man in this state? It accelerates him. He responds too fast, talks too much, invests too early, tries too hard. Urgency takes over. And urgency destroys the one thing that creates magnetism, composure. Because beneath the surface, it's often not her you're pursuing. It's the feeling, the ego stroke, the reassurance, the chemical high of being noticed. And women are extraordinarily sensitive to this distinction. They can feel when they are genuinely desired, versus when they are being used as an emotional regulator by a man who cannot stabilize himself. The man who truly attracts operates differently. He rules his rhythm. He doesn't speed up because the environment is fast. He doesn't bend to the social pressure of the moment. He doesn't synchronize with nervous energy. He sets the tempo. Mystery is not created by distance. It is created by timing. Control is not created by coldness. It is created by rhythm. The magnetic man is not the one who reacts to her emotional pace. He is the one who subtly defines it. When he speaks, it's deliberate. When he looks, it's intentional. When he moves, it's unhurried. Everything about him communicates, "I am not being pulled, I am choosing." And this psychological stability produces a silent but powerful effect. She feels drawn in, not because he ignores her, but because he doesn't contort himself to gain favor. Research has repeatedly shown something fascinating. Slower movements, measured speech, and comfort with silence are often interpreted as indicators of confidence and higher status. Not arrogance, presence. A man who rushes his words feels anxious. A man who fears silence feels insecure. A man who breathes, observes, then responds, feels in control, and control is seductive. Because again, it's the body speaking before language ever enters the stage. So here's a brutally effective adjustment you can apply immediately. The internal rhythm technique. Speak slightly slower than the social environment around you. Not dramatically, subtly. Just enough to decouple yourself from the reactive flow. This forces awareness, forces groundedness, forces you back into observation instead of performance. Next, eliminate reflexive validation sounds. The constant yeah, aha, exactly right. These tiny habits seem harmless, but they often signal unconscious approval seeking. When you reduce them, something shifts in your posture. Your presence becomes firmer, less accommodating, more grounded, and finally, master micro-silences, not awkward pauses, controlled spaces, silences that are not empty, but charged, because it is inside these gaps that value is perceived. It is in these moments that she subconsciously registers. This man is not scrambling. This man is not chasing. This man is completely at ease. And then comes the final layer, the invisible law of silent attraction. She can feel when you have options, not because you say it, not because you display it, but because nothing in your behavior suggests scarcity. Most men don't realize they sabotage attraction in the very first second. It happens so fast you miss it. You notice a woman you consider above average, and instantly your internal chemistry shifts. Your posture tightens, your voice changes, your movements become slightly less natural. Why? Because you've unconsciously entered scarcity mode. Suddenly, she's no longer just a woman in the environment. She becomes the opportunity, rare, special, almost mythical. And the moment that perception takes over, your behavior starts betraying you. You lean in a bit too eagerly. You monitor her reactions too closely. You become hyper-aware of how you're being judged. In other words, you stop operating from abundance. You start operating from fear of loss. And yes, she feels that. Not because she's arrogant, but because female attraction is deeply tied to social and emotional positioning. Before personality is evaluated, before compatibility is considered, there is a silent question her brain asks. Where does this man stand in the hierarchy of his own world? Scarcity energy answers that question in the worst possible way. Because scarcity destroys magnetism. Nothing drains tension faster than the subtle impression that a man needs that interaction to go well, that he depends on it for validation, for confidence, for emotional reward. Social psychology describes this through a brutal principle. Perceived value follows perceived scarcity. When something is scarce, it becomes valuable. When you are scarce, your value rises. But when you behave as if she is scarce, and you are abundant in insecurity, your value collapses. Understand the inversion. The man who thinks, "I hope I don't lose this chance," is already positioning himself below the interaction. And attraction rarely flows downward. There's also a deeper instinctive layer at play. Across cultures, across studies, women consistently show stronger attraction toward men who appear socially validated, men who are calm, grounded, and clearly not dependent on a single source of attention, not because women consciously seek competition, but because social proof signals something primal. If others value him, there must be value there. You don't negotiate with this mechanism. You either trigger it or you don't. And every small behavior either reinforces or weakens that signal. Now here's where everything starts to shift. When you genuinely do not need the interaction, your body changes automatically. Your breathing slows. Your movements loosen. Your attention expands. You're no longer locked onto her reactions like a radar seeking approval. You become aware of the entire environment again. Relaxed, grounded, present. You're not trying to impress. You're simply existing in your own axis. That is the real turning point, because a man with direction generates a kind of social gravity. It's subtle, almost invisible, but powerful. She senses it before she understands it, feels it before she rationalizes it. Female desire rarely ignites from declared intention. It ignites from silent impact. From the perception that this man's world does not revolve around her, that his life, his energy, his presence are already full, already structured, already moving. Men often misunderstand this and swing to extremes. They think this means acting cold, distant, dismissive, wrong. This is not about contempt. It's about non-dependence. A man who moves comfortably in the environment, who speaks to others, who connects socially without tension, who is not orbiting one single person, transmits value without trying. She reads social ease as confidence. She reads naturalness as strength. She reads independence as power. So let's translate this into something you can actually use. The external focus strategy. Instead of mentally collapsing your attention onto her, deliberately anchor most of your awareness in the environment. Notice the room. People, sounds, movement, atmosphere. Engage socially with the world around you, not as a performance, but as a recalibration of your center. Because when your attention stops revolving around her, your energy stops asking for recognition. You stop being the man trying to enter her world and become the man whose presence quietly suggests, there is a world here. Step in if you wish. That is where seduction truly begins. That is where she feels, without you ever saying it, that you don't need her to feel complete. And paradoxically, that is exactly what pulls her closer. The code of effortless attraction. At the end of all this, there is a truth most men resist. Seducing without hitting on a woman is not a trick, not a clever line, not a social performance. It is an internal construction, because effortless attraction is not something you do. It is something that happens as a consequence of who you have become. When a man stops performing, stops chasing reactions, stops seeking validation, his presence changes, and that shift is felt before it is understood. Let me put this in a way that may hit closer to home. Have you ever seen a man walk into a room and without speaking command attention? No theatrics, no noise, no exaggerated gestures, just a grounded, unshaken presence. People notice. Women notice. Energy reorganizes around him. Why? Because attraction is not an opinion. It is a biological response. A woman's nervous system reacts to signals long before her rational mind forms a narrative. She is not first listening to your words. She is reading your axis, your movements, your tension, your rhythm, your comfort with yourself. Biology evaluates stability, not speeches. Power, in its purest form, has always been the ability to influence without visibly trying. And seduction follows the same law. The average man tries to look interesting. The high-value man allows interest to emerge. The average man tries to show desire. The grounded man reveals direction. Feel the contrast. One pushes energy outward, asking to be recognized. The other contains energy inward, forcing recognition. He does not chase the interaction, does not beg for attention, does not subtly ask, "Am I doing well?" He simply exists, complete, centered, self-contained. And paradoxically, that is what pulls attention toward him. True seduction is born from this combination: silent presence, inner direction, control of emotional tempo, social selectivity. Together, these elements create something rare, an atmosphere of inevitable attraction. Because a woman senses value before she hears your voice, she perceives how you occupy space, how you respond to the environment, how easily you move through social reality. She feels whether you are guided by your own center or by the need to be liked, whether you are anchored or adapting yourself for approval. And beneath all of this lies one core variable: self-mastery. Effortless attraction is impossible for a man who is ruled by anxiety, who cannot control his impulses, who does not understand his own nervous system. But when a man masters his rhythm, masters his silence, masters his focus, something profound happens. He stops feeling like a request for validation and starts feeling like a presence that commands respect. And here is where many misunderstand silence. Silence is not the absence of speech. Silence is condensed presence. It is the signal that you are not mentally scrambling, not reacting, not filling space out of discomfort. It communicates: I am fully here, fully grounded, fully in control. It reveals an internal world, and female desire responds intensely to that posture. Because desire is not drawn to noise. Desire is drawn to magnetism, and magnetism is almost always silent. Now, if you want to move beyond surface-level advice and truly understand the deeper mechanics behind attraction, there is a path. Not tricks, not canned routines, not recycled lines, but a deeper framework, one that reveals why some men trigger attraction before the first exchange of words, one that explains how desire emerges from subconscious perception, from rhythm, silence, emotional control, energy, and posture. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Because once you understand these mechanisms, you stop guessing, you start calibrating. And let's close with a final insight. Few men grasp correctly. Indifference is not ignoring. Indifference is disciplined direction. It is the ability to choose where your energy goes and refuse to leak it into unconscious approval seeking. When you remove the woman from the center of your attention and place your axis there instead, everything changes. Your mind stabilizes, your body relaxes, your behavior slows, your presence becomes solid. And when the masculine becomes solid, the feminine moves closer, not because you chased it, but because you stopped needing to. Before you go, let me ask you something directly. Have you ever caught yourself slipping into that subtle shift, the tension, the overthinking, The urge to impress. The moment you noticed a woman you found extremely attractive? Be honest, because awareness is where this transformation actually begins. So I want you to do something simple but intentional. Comment, centered, not chasing. If you truly understand the difference between seeking attention and owning your presence, not for me, for you, I want to see how many men watching this are starting to think differently, starting to move differently. And if you're ready to go deeper into this dynamic, into the psychology of presence, control, and silent attraction, click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now. That video will connect the next pieces. If this resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.